Dustin, good to see you. Today we are talking about 3 retirement risks that could cause you to run out of money, which is, of course, most retirees' number one fear. Life expectancies are at an all-time high. Today, a couple age 65 has a 50% chance of living beyond 90, which brings up our first risk. It's known as longevity risk.
Yeah, right now there are over 90,000 centenarians in the U.S. right now, people age
Wow.
100 and over.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Census Bureau estimates by the year 2030, there's going to be 130,000 of them. And about 35 years from now, in the year 2060, we're looking at about 600,000 centenarians. So people
Wow.
are living much longer. Longevity is a blessing, but it's
Mhm.
important to remember when it comes to income planning and retirement, longevity is also a risk.
Right,
Mm.
right. You want it to be nothing but good news. I like that point.
Right.
All right, risk number 2, changes to Social Security, which perfectly dovetails with what you're talking about right now with an aging population. It's very likely benefits or qualifications will have to change.
Yeah. So we've got an aging population. We got less workers in the workforce to support benefits for a growing population of retirees. And that's going to mean pressure to do two things: either change benefits and or raise taxes to
Mhm.
support those benefits.
Mhm. All right. Now, risk number 3, Dustin, I feel like has been a headline for years now, inflation, right? And high inflation means simply you'll have to use more of your retirement savings each year to maintain your quality of life.
Yeah, yeah. So what that means is, hey, it's critical to do retirement planning to and protect your assets to make sure that they last and can provide you an income in a sustainable way. But you got to balance that with getting a return that will keep pace with inflation.
Right. So now, Dustin, I'd like to ask you, what are the specific strategies that address these risks? Because it's good news we know these risks because we can start planning for them now.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough that you need to focus on doing as you approach retirement and in the early stages of retirement, you need to focus on doing some retirement income planning and
Hmm.
understand that financial planning is very different than the financial planning you did when you were building your assets for retirement. That's really kind of the focus of my practice at this point, is helping people, retirees and pre-retirees, transition from work to a sustainable retirement. And that means solving the problems you need to solve so that you're no longer building those assets. You need a plan to spend those assets to create an income, because you no longer have regular paychecks. Create an income in a predictable, consistent way that's going to be sustainable for the rest of your life without running out of money. So I'd
Hmm.
really encourage you to meet with somebody who understands retirement income planning and specializes in that.
Hmm. And
Uh,
there were some unique strategies, though, that you employ with your clients.
Yeah, yeah. So, longevity risk, that brings up annuities. A lot of people compare annuities to investment products. It's kind of a false comparison because that's not what annuities are intended for. The intended purpose of annuities are to ensure or reduce longevity risk. And the reason for that is an annuity is the only savings vehicle that you can use to provide yourself a regular income that will continue for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Okay.
Hmm.
There's a place for investment products, but that's something you can't duplicate with investment products. So for a lot of people like the idea, some portion of their retirement income, whether it be a small portion or a larger portion, being guaranteed, and a guarantee that you can't outlive that income.
Right, right. It all comes down to peace of mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then we could talk about Social Security as well. The problem with Social Security, the pressure to either change benefits or increase taxes. Again, it might mean that you might want to look at something like annuities, look and see if it makes sense to create some more lifetime guaranteed income in addition to Social Security. Use some of your savings to do that. The other thing that makes sense, and it really makes sense to look at doing it right now. Tax rates right now are much lower than they were in 2017, and they're lower than they're going to be when these tax rates sunset inside of 3 years. So, if you got a lot of money in pre-tax retirement accounts, things like traditional IRAs, when you withdraw those funds, you're gonna have to pay taxes on all of it. And if there's a lot of pressure to bridge this gap in Social Security benefits, it may mean that, hey, the money you're taking out of retirement benefits that you're paying higher taxes on those dollars to pay for your own Social Security benefits. So you may want to take a look at, while tax rates are historically low, things like Roth conversions or other tax moves that will reduce your tax exposure if tax rates were to change in the future.
Right, right. Proactive planning, so important. So the sooner you can have these conversations with a professional, the better. Dustin, if
Yeah.
somebody has questions about any of this, sorry, go ahead. How do they get a
Oh,
hold of you?
and then, you know, we talked about inflation, right?
Right.
So it's really important when you do income planning, people intuitively know that, hey, I want to protect my retirement assets. I want to make sure I'm not too
Mm-hmm.
aggressive. You know, that's really important to protect those assets to create a predictable income. But it doesn't mean you can forget about inflation. Okay. Very few people can take all of their retirement assets and put them in cash or fixed annuities. And, you know, that'll protect you from market volatility, but you're going to have little chance of maintaining your lifestyle adjusted for inflation without running
Right,
out of money.
right.
You still got to have, for most people, you got to have some exposure to some kind of investments that are going to help you keep pace with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's really important that as you approach retirement or in retirement, that you consider doing that in a risk managed way. And
Right.
that's why my clients own some things like hedged equity, where, you know, we can still own stocks and participate in stock investments, but we use options to protect some of the downsides. So that's one way to own, for example, to own stocks and transfer some of your investment risk to other investors. You know, this is the reason why some of my clients own some institutional investments that aren't available to the public,
Mm-hmm.
like structured bank notes, where we can get a really competitive yield, but do it with contractual terms from a large bank. So again, a way to transfer some of our investment risk to another institution, like a large bank. Okay, so still
Yeah.
maintain some exposure to some investments to help keep pace with inflation, but there's some ways to do that in a risk managed fashion.
Okay. Dustin, thanks for explaining those so well. So if somebody does want to talk to you more about them, what's the best way to reach you?
They can shoot me a text at 830-476-2505, or they can reach out on the website to book a free chat, longlivemymoney.com.
All right. Dustin, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.